Welcome to Staging the Third Act. I'm your host, Janine Escalier-Cato, and this is kind of a poignant show for me. This is going to be my last show in this house. You probably remember all the things behind me, all my Mexican icons. They're at the new house. And it's just poignant for many reasons. There's been a lot of memories in this house. Starting this show, and the cat you probably remember that ran across the table. Well, 2 months ago, he passed right next to me on the couch, but he was very old. So I hope his spirit goes with us, which I'm sure it will. So this is a special show, and I have a special guest. As you know, this show is by, about, and for baby boomers who are sending their legacies out into the universe because we don't have children or grandchildren to send those legacies on to. So we do bigger things. We take our creativity and we spread our seeds upon wherever they lie and wherever they drift to into the universe, which is really fun because it gives us a chance to really stretch our creativity and help more people. So I'm excited for my guest today, Barbara Young. She is a healer, a nurse, a writer, an author, and she has some exciting projects in the works, and I'm really excited for her to share them with you. But I want to say one thing about Barbara that really struck me is that she's a timeless person. And when I say timeless, I really enjoy people who, they don't age. So when I say staging the third act, it could be staging the first act, the second act, people who don't age, because what they do is they're constantly following their passions. And you know that passions keep us young. If we follow and stay with our passions, we're never going to age. And Barbara is one of those people. She takes her intuitions, her passions, her creativity, and she does incredible things with them. So without further ado, Barbara, it's really great to have you on the show today. And thank you for being my last guest in my beautiful home. And by the way, I'm moving because my husband and I decided it's time to downsize. We don't want to leave all our stuff and our junk and all that to people, the younger people in our life. So we're downsizing, we're making our lives simple. So anyway, welcome, and I'm so glad you're here. And I want to start with the fact that you're a healer and a nurse, and how that journey took you into these incredible books that are getting rave reviews. And just kind of start and tell us about your life.
Well, good morning and thank you. I just want to reflect to you, Janine, that I'm just pleased with what you've created here with your TV show, and to be here is such a compliment to be part of your legacy.
Thank you.
That you're leaving behind, so I appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
Well, I've had a 35 or so year active duty nursing career. I'm still a nurse because I still have an active license, and I'm also a board certified holistic nurse, so that gives me a wider array of things that I can do as a nurse, as far as paradigms that I work under and things like that. And so even though I'm not doing the medical side of things, I feel like my healing work is very much continuing through the authorship that I'm doing.
Can you, for some viewers out there that don't know exactly what holistic means in terms of healing, kind of describe that a little bit more?
Well, holistic is it's a paradigm. A paradigm is a set of beliefs and practices and things that people hold as their model for living or doing certain things. And so medicine has a paradigm, and it has very set rules. It's called allopathic medicine that we're familiar with here in the West. Eastern medicine has a wider range. It's more holistic. It actually involves lifestyle and food choices and relationships and attitudes and beliefs that go into feeding your system energetically and nourishing it on other levels than just the physical. And so yeah, it's just much
more of a lifestyle, not just getting medicine, but how you live your life.
And it's feeding yourself and your life continually, like you do a garden, so that you bloom, so that you harvest throughout life, as opposed to live in depletion, like it seems like we do, like the standard American way. So yeah, it's more of a self thriving process.
And so what do you do with this holistic way now with clients?
My clients right now are my readers, and I did have a well-being practice. I started it, this was concurrent to doing medical nursing. I started back in, let's see, it would have been around 87, 85, somewhere around there, probably 87. I became a massage therapist, and I rapidly realized that stress was an issue, and so it kind of became my stress management practice. And the more I studied continuing education, which helped me with nursing credentials and with my well-being credentials, I learned more practices. I became more practiced myself with meditation and food choices and activity in my life. And so then it became my well-being practice. And so I would consult with people and help them with their choices and value identification, which is very important, because I feel if you identify your values, I mean, they're here, right? I just put my hands naturally here. The values aren't here. This is logic and what you should do and things like that. But values are from your heart and your soul. And so when you learn to make decisions from your values, you're not pleasing everyone else. And you are hopefully going to please others, but you're feeding yourself because you're acting through your choices, through your values.
I like that.
And you express them in your life. And so that it's a self-feeding thing, instead of feeling like, well, I tried so hard and I, couldn't win them over, or I didn't please them and I lost the job and now I'm down in my energy. So
it's more authentic.
It's authentic.
So as long as you're being authentic to yourself, you're going to be much more helpful to other people.
Yes, and I call it responsibility, because again, in more of a linear allopathic Western way, we think you've got to be responsible, and that's a weight on your shoulders. And we kind of avoid that unless we just really feel super strong about whatever we're embarking upon. But it's responsibility is like liability. But if you look at the word, the way it sounds is response ability. It's the ability to respond. So when you have acted through your values and made choices that are going to serve you and hence serve others, if you fail, you can quickly get the lesson, which is a payoff in a good way, and recover. Just like a fumble in football, you just get back in the game and play it. So you can get the lesson, which still makes it a payoff for you, and you play the game and move on. And then so you can take the credit for doing something because you did it authentically. Right. And you can also take the blame, because that blame you interpret as, okay, so I missed the mark, I'll try again. As opposed to, you're at fault with responsibility. Do you see the difference?
Yes, I do.
And so that's a weight that you now carry. And how do you ever live that down? We carry that baggage with us all the time. Talk about aging. Carry our luggage with us, and carry it on our shoulders.
It's like the abused wife, or they carry the weight of that abuse as their own.
You feel guilty. You feel responsible.
Yes.
You feel like you're
makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And you were talking about stress. I know when I let the stress overwhelm me, because it's a mental thing, and then it gets in my body, and my arthritis just flared with this big move. And my husband doesn't take responsibility for stress. So he just lets it roll off, where I'm worrying about the garage constantly. He's the one that has to move the garage. And he's not. He goes, it's going to get done. What can I tell you? The garage is going to get done. Why are you taking that responsibility? Same thing. I'm taking the responsibility of the garage, and I'm getting the stress. You see, you're opening up my eyes to a lot of things right now. Okay, keep going. So,
well, I'm not invulnerable to stress. I just want to definitely disclaim that. I've certainly suffered my own and had some ill effects from it, but I also get to recover because I believe in that. I hold that in my paradigm, that recovery is very much an option for me.
So is that, all these things, these wonderful things that you're saying, is that what motivated you to write your book, The Heart That Rocks Healthcare?
Yes, This book is,
I know
it's
that's
like my life's work in a book. And it was also to give back to my brethren and sisters who are in nursing and healthcare that suffer stress. The model doesn't allow you to rest. You are on, and you are on for others. And there is nothing wrong with that, because we're all in it from our heart to serve others and to help others, especially in that sacred moment when someone can't do for themselves. We are there to witness. We are there to stand guard for their life, their soul, their being, and also to educate them and see them through and coach them, whatever is necessary. So it's a brilliant and rewarding career. But there's a toll. And so I had kind of reached my retoll. Like, you get there, you do what you need to do, you get better, you heal yourself, you refill your cup. But I had gotten to a point where I just realized, I think I'm called to do something else. And so I moved from the career actively. And then I was kind of like crashed afterwards, within days. I'm like, what did I do? Where am I at? How do I go on from here? And so I said, well, I need to take this on like I would a client. What would I tell someone if they were at a point where they had to jump in faith? And so what would I coach them to do? So I did have a book coach. I had 9 weeks to work with this person. So in other words, 9 weeks to write my book.
Wow, that's fast.
And it's like I needed to get it done. It was a really good program for me in that respect. So I came up with, based on what I would do with a client, the success process. And so I decided the steps from hitting bottom, so to speak, to where I wanted to go was awareness, hold space for positive possibility, shift, unlock inner wisdom, center, choose, elevate, see yourself with your desired results, and step into positive action.
Wow.
So the beginning of each of those is AHSUCCESS.
Wonderful.
Success. That took 4 weeks to come up with. Now I had only 5 weeks to write the book.
Wow.
But it was a stream of consciousness.
Wow.
And
that's a pretty thick book.
Well, it was 100,000 words the first time I finished the manuscript after 5 weeks. And it was 60,000 words. And 40,000 words. And then I was told, put some more stories in there and everything. So I did, from my experience and other nurses that I know and people I've talked to. So that became about 60,000 to 80,000 words. Then I hired an editor and a book designer. Oh my God, what a process editing is. I mean, you talk about life grooming you, editing, especially if you're as emotionally attached to this as I was, it was so difficult.
They're killing your baby.
Right, but it was growth. I knew it's kind of like how a pearl is made from the grit, in the sand grit that gets in and then it's pearlized by so I knew there was a pearl coming. And so I say now that editing is love.
Oh.
And this wasn't this special person, Julie Byers. She did not just go through and pick on all of the little things. And she was a research editor, so she could pick. But and I jumped every time she said jump. But between her and David Louthborough, who was the designer and the cover designer and the whole interior, the two of them helped me order things, and then I worked on the flow, because every time they'd order something, I'd have to weave it back in to make sure that we get the reader up to a certain point by the time they got here.
Was it self-published, or did you have a big name publisher?
This was self-published, yes.
But it got good traction, right?
It has, because I'm kind of organic with my marketing, and I'm very organic because I don't do Facebook and stuff. But Heart Light Press is my press that's published it. So nice. Heart Light, one word.
But you have had traction in the sense that it's been used. I mean, you've had people ask you if they can use it for educational purposes.
I have approached the educational system where I got my nursing degree, and they wanted me to get some speaking experience and potentially come back and speak with the classes. So yes, and the Holistic Nurses Association did a book review,
Nice.
which was stunning. That's in the the August issue of their Beginnings magazine.
Nice.
It stunned me. For a week, I had to reread it over and over again
Aw.
because it was hard to believe. It was so wonderful, and they've invited me to put in a proposal to speak sometime at the Holistic Nurses
Nice.
Association's conference, which happens annually.
Nice.
So yes, and nursing groups. I have a friend or a colleague, really, who's a minister, and she read this book, and I guess I'm going to show it. She gave me her book she showed me her book. And look at how she has studied this thing.
Wow.
And the underlining and the writing and stuff. So this is a minister, and this is an inspirational book that I wrote.
Is that Betsy?
Yeah.
I love her.
And
I interviewed
it
her.
brings tears to my eyes. Yes, I saw her interview.
She's amazing.
It brings tears to my eyes because when I know a book is changing me or challenging me, even if I don't agree, I will write. And so she did this with her book. And I know that she's using the material in her.
She's another timeless human being.
She is, but she does. She's been a minister for years. She is retired, but she still does spiritual groups and leads different retreats and things like that. And she tells me when she uses the material, she quotes it.
See how your ripples are going out there.
It is stunning,
and
it is stunning.
It is. So I don't want to run out of time, but
Sure.
so this kind of is an offshoot of how you care for people and how you took your nursing so seriously, and it was such an honor to do what you did with people and to make their lives better and to honor where they were at in their healing, and then your holistic healing. And then how did you come to your next book, which to me is a fascinating subject?
This one, I love Little Emmy. I had an amazing illustrator who brought my little characters that were in my head to life. And so anyway, Grandma Lost Cuddles.
But how did you go from the health thing to this? And then tell us what this book is about.
Yes, well, this is Adventures with Dementia series.
I see that as just wow. To bring dementia into a child's book is so, to me, what a great concept. So tell us.
Well, my mom had dementia, and I cared for her. And so in a way this is inspired, very definitely inspired by her and attributing her. And so, yeah, I didn't necessarily work directly in dementia care as a nurse, but certainly work with people who had it in the care that I was giving under different umbrellas, cardiac care or in the emergency room or what have you. And so I wanted to write children's books. I didn't have children. I wanted them. Of course, yeah. But I did, like many that you're interviewing, who, I lived vicariously through my friends, and I was a nanny or an auntie or whatever to their children. And many of them were single moms, so I was more integral in those roles. And so I just felt that children is where I wanted to invest some of my energy. And my mom was so good to me as a mom. Yeah. She was so good with bringing me up.
I know that one.
Yes, we're fortunate. I know. And I'm currently doing a tribute book to her called Mother's Pearls. And there were these things that she just imparted, these bits of wisdom and stuff that she imparted to me that I used as rules to live by and grow by. So when I had the chance to take care of her, these pearls and her as a role model came through me. It was such a privileged position. It was like I was a conduit. Yeah. And she wasn't really sure who I was. She knew I was her daughter, but I was acting like a mommy, and she'd say, "You're a good mommy. Aww. You're my good mommy," that kind of thing. And that's so sweet. Anyway, but I just said, "You taught me." So anyway, as an author, I'm being sort of a mommy, but more I've taken the role as an auntie in my speaking in the book. And the lessons, they're lessons my mom taught me and that I learned through taking care of her with dementia.
So in the book, because I haven't read it, how does the little girl, would be you, right?
No, they're all kind of composite.
Okay, they're composite. Yeah. So this little girl, does she learn how to deal with dementia, or does is it the mother or grandmother?
Grandma.
Does grandma teach her how to deal with people with dementia? How does that relationship form, or what is the relationship?
Well, this is one of 5 in a series that I'm working on. So each one's going to bring a different point out. And this is just where Grandma lost Cuddles, this little stuffed animal that Emmy had given her, and she, she's got anger, she's got confusion, these kind of things that come out. And Emmy is, this is actually going to be number 4 in the series. Oh. So she's a little actualized by now. So she'll take something like some personal for a moment, and then she bounces back. And her mom will tell her, relax, take a breath, relax, Emmy, people with dementia get confused. So she straightens up, and then she's like, okay, I got an idea. So she's successfully dealing in this book. And so I wanted her to be a role model for children.
She's a role model for adults who are taking care of people with dementia.
Thank you. That would be nice.
I mean, this book is a role model for adults.
Yes.
Because adults, caretakers, the frustration, as much as they love that person, it's a continual, like, why doesn't that person get it? And then all of a sudden they have to go, wait a minute, it's not their fault. I have to step back. It's not their fault. Their brain is shrinking. They don't have any control. So this book teaches everybody how to deal with dementia.
Well, I hope so, and I don't want it to be too Candyland, and too successful. But because it is oriented for children, it's certainly not as gritty and dirty as dementia can bring situations
You have
to
to temper that.
Right. But just if you stay with the emotions of frustration or disappointment or hurt or anger, those will be in it. And I don't know how to say this. My former editor, Julie Beyer, had looked over the manuscript for this, and she was like, Adventures with Dementia series. She's like, dementia is not an adventure, it's hell. And I hope it's okay that I quote her on that. But that is what most people feel like, honestly. Mm-hmm. They feel like lost in it. Mm-hmm. And we're powerless and confused ourselves, and this out of control being that is not who they're supposed to be or who they've always been, and where is this all going? And it changes your life. Mm-hmm. So I said, well, that could be an adventure, and children don't have all the responsibility when they're going through it, but they are certainly tied in through the heart and the relationship. And so that's the level that this really is.
I have a girlfriend who was raised with her grandmother. She was that girl, and her grandmother was the most important person in her big Italian family. And she said, I wouldn't be who I am without my grandmother. And we used to go over to her house, and her grandmother would be lying on the couch, and she was full into dementia, and she was very old. And she taught us how to deal with people that were really old, and how beautiful it was. And she knew all that as a little girl. So this is very relevant.
Okay, good.
I mean, my grandmothers never lived with me. I love my grandmothers, but they were strong and fierce until they died. Mm-hmm. But she taught us a whole different side of loving grandparents. This is so important.
Thank you.
It's so important. She's my age. She's a writer, and she said she still writes about her grandmother. So I think this is brilliant. I think it's brilliant. And I'm sure a lot of editors and publishers are going, what? But when you've lived it, it's so real. Mm-hmm. And children are exposed to it. Yes. Absolutely.
Yes. And sometimes they're kept from it.
Yes.
And maybe there is stuff that details they need to be kept from, because it is it's very surreal.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
Right.
But yes, when you stay with the relationship and the emotions and who you're dealing with, then it's a place to dwell where there can still be quality over the time that's left.
Yes.
And writing these books, for me, if I could just make that point, because this is about legacy, it's a birthing process. And
you're teaching compassion.
Yes.
Which this society is so bereft of.
Yes, this is a book that falls sort of under the social emotional learning, which is a big category with the educational system.
Sure.
And I'm not really qualified. I'm not a teacher and stuff to write maybe for them, but this does have components of that, and the virtues of love, patience, creativity, tolerance, and kindness, which is what you were saying.
Huge.
And in the back of it, there's these little activities that the kids can do that match the virtue with the behavior, and then just it kind of is in a broad age range, so you can start out just coloring and then counting and then matching and then reading and answering the questions. You can do it with an adult.
Now you said that's the 4th. Do you have 1, 2, and 3 already published?
No, I'm writing these next 4, so 1, 2, and 3, and 5 together, because it's kind of just the way I write. They're individual standalone stories, but I want them connected nuance-wise. For instance, Cuddles is going to be given to Grandma by Emmy in number 1, volume 1, when Grandma, that's called something like A New Home for Grandma. So obviously she's losing her independence, and she's going into this Hearts and Hands care home, which is featured in this book. But she's going to give Grandma her own little cuddles, so that I can be with you even when I'm not with you, kind of a thing. So that cuddles is going to need to be included in pictures or in activities in number 2 and 3, so that this can. So when Grandma loses Cuddles, it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good question. So this being my first children's book, I had the idea for the book, and it was all a learning process. And so I had the story, but I had 3 points that I wanted to make, and I learned in children's books that you only have one, especially at this age.
Yeah.
And so, immediately that gave me 3 books to bring out these 3 points. And so the other 2 are the gap fillers or the foundation, or just bringing out other points that are important in the process. So that's how this one became first, because it definitely is a standalone book. And if you didn't even look at it being dementia, it's a mystery. Where did Grandma's dog go? And it's an adventure. How am I going to solve this problem?
Right.
So it's a good starting standalone book, I thought, to come out with. And then, hopefully build the interest on the others, so that people don't get too fixated or turned off by dementia. I don't have anybody with dementia. I don't need the book. Kind of thing. It's like, it's still an adventure story for the children, and I hope all of them are, despite the dementia being an element.
Well, unfortunately, we're running sort of out of time, and I just kind of want to give you a chance. If you want to tell the viewers anything about where to get the books, or any information and any parting message you may have to the viewers about anything that you spoke of here today. Anything you want to leave the viewers with?
Well, thank you all. This has been a wonderful time. It went so fast, and I just want to say my website, beyoungbooks.com, like my name, Barbara Young, beyoungbooks.com. I'm working on that and making it more user-friendly. So I hope that's a place, excuse me, where we can meet, and that you can tell me about your reading experiences. I don't do social media at this point, but I'm very social, so please reach out to me. And my message from today would be a saying that I have, of which I've lived my life according to many, but dream your life and live your dreams. That's my message. Dream your life and live your dreams.
It worked for me, because I lived my life on that. I started dreaming my life when I was 8, and I've accomplished everything I dreamed about.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow.
So it works.
It's not only amazing, it's stunning. Congratulations.
And it's because I came from a mother who said, only you can do that. And I came from a broken home, a blended family, a lot of chaos, but I believed. And I think that's why I do this show, because we all come from backgrounds that are different and chaotic and beautiful and wonderful and blended and multicultural. And what doesn't matter? You make your own, you develop and you make your own dreams. And we do this until we're dead. we do this until we're dead, or what's the point, right? So viewers, I hope to see you next time in my new place where we'll have much light, because the kitchen will be, the cabinets are white. It's going to be a whole different look, but with still the same heart for staging the third act. So I want to thank you, Barbara.
Thank you so
I had so much more I wanted to ask her. She's just a well of information. And heart to heart, you know, when you get two people heart to heart, you just want to explode and get all those nice tidbits. But maybe next time I'll have you back and we'll continue this.
I look forward to it.
I look forward to our next show, and I don't know yet what it'll be, but I'm working on it. So we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.